All right, so this is being recorded. We'll send out a link to the recording after we are done. So, welcome everyone. Good afternoon, wherever you may be. My name is Chris Hanson. I'm the co-founder, CEO of a software company based in St. Paul, Minnesota called the Databank. We've been in business for quite some time, almost a little over 28 years now. We were early pioneers in web-based donor management software, online advocacy, and since 2023, we've been working with AI and integrated into our nonprofit CRM. Just one quick sales pitch here. If your organization is looking for a CRM, we'd love to talk to you. We have packages starting as low as $99 a month. All right, so let's get on here with the topic at hand today. Here's what we're going to talk about. First, we're going to talk briefly about what is AI. Also, as I'm going through this, if you have questions, please use the chat function. I'll try to keep an eye on that and am happy to answer questions as I'm going along here. We'll briefly talk about what is AI. We'll talk about some of the concerns around AI because there are certainly valid concerns and we hear about them pretty much every day. And then we're going to look at the current state of use of AI, both in the for-profit sector, but then in the nonprofit sector as well. We're going to talk about how to effectively start using AI in your organization and then go through some tools and some tips about use of AI. We'll have some time at the end here for questions as well. All right, so let's get into this. And thank you for filling out the poll. That helps us. It looks like most everyone here has used AI, which is good. So what is AI? Uh, I mean, there's lots of definitions out there, a lot of talk about this. I'm not a technologist, I'm a marketing guy, so I tend to like simple definitions of things. This is one I found a while ago that I think is pretty good. It simply is AI is the ability of an artificial system. In this case, we're talking about using computers to do things, do tasks normally associated with human intelligence. And it does this, and this is really important because this kind of goes to the heart of why AI is able to do things it does. It does this by consuming, uh, ingesting huge amounts of data, and then being able to quickly look through that data to find patterns, correlations, and then use that information to answer questions, prompts that people are putting to it. So the software has been developed really to be able to quickly sift through huge amounts of data. And while that allows it to do some amazing things, it also creates some issues. Um, so, what's the kind of current landscape of AI bots in here? Just quickly go through this. So, ChatGPT up there in the upper left is really the bot that started this all. It was developed by a company called OpenAI. They released it at the end of November 2022. So we're going on 3.5+ years since that was released. Gemini on the right side there is Google's AI bot. If you're in the Google workspace, you're probably familiar with Gemini. They've worked hard to integrate Gemini into Google Docs and Sheets and Google search, those types of things. Down there on the lower right is Claude. Claude is developed by a company called Anthropic, and it's probably the fastest growing, as far as usage, AI bot out there in the marketplace now. Excuse me a second. Perhaps you heard some of the discussions around Claude Anthropic not complying with the Department of Defense's use of AI, and so they pulled the use of Claude out from the Department of Defense, which created all sorts of issues. And then over on the left, bottom left side, there's Copilot, which is Microsoft's AI bot. If you're in the Microsoft 365 workspace world, you're very familiar with Copilot, is because they've done the same thing that Google has done with Gemini, integrated a lot into their various tools. Down there in the middle is Dbot, which is the Databank's AI bot that we developed back in 2023. Um, just want to point out that they call these AI models or engines that are kind of in the background that drive all these AI bots. Well, ChatGPT, Copilot, and our AI bot, DBot, use AI engines developed by OpenAI. So we're all kind of on a similar platform out there. So that's kind of the current landscape of these AI bots. And the reality is, if you've looked at this stuff at all, there's thousands, literally thousands of AI tools and bots out there. There's more every day. Yeah, but these are kind of the main players here. ChatGPT, by the way, OpenAI, is the dominant AI bot in the marketplace, accounts for somewhere on the order of 65 to 75% of all AI prompts are going through OpenAI engines. However, that percentage continues to decline as Claude and Gemini and some other tools start to pick up traction. So, um, there are obviously a number of concerns about AI, and these are just kind of the main ones that are out there that really any person or organization looking at implementing AI should be aware of and knowledgeable of and understand some of the risks around the use of these tools. So security is a big one. Oftentimes when you're using these tools, you might be loading data up into them that you're asking the bot to analyze, those types of things. You don't want your data exposed in any way. And so certainly when we were looking at the using AI or building an AI bot and integrating into our CRM, security was the number one thing that we were looking at, which is really the reason we decided to develop our own rather than, say, integrate ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini into our CRM because we were better able to control security and use of data that way. Bias is a natural result of these bots being trained on large amounts of data, but they're not trained on everything. They're not omnipotent. They don't know all. And so their responses are really only based on the data that they've been trained on. And so that can certainly enter bias into their responses. And so you certainly want to be aware of that when you're using these tools and the responses that are coming back. Just like any technology, new technology, there are issues around staff and training, the use of AI, certainly in the workplace. However, one of the concerns about AI, and it's a very valid concern, is AI going to replace me? Is it going to take my job? And the reality is that it's happened. It is happening. I Perhaps you've seen headlines of large software companies. I think Oracle just released something where they've laid off 14 or 15,000 people. A lot of these technology companies are laying off people and they're attributing it to the use of AI in the workplace, which, from my perspective, may or may not be true. I think some of these companies are using AI as an excuse to trim workforce, but the reality is, uh, people like in customer service jobs, AI is certainly taken over and is doing many of the things that, for instance, customer service people might normally do as well. So, and then training, of course, any technology coming into an organization, you should accommodate for staff training if you want to use these tools correctly. We'll get into a little more talk about that in a bit. Transparency is another issue to be thoughtful of. In fact, I just looked at some data showing that while 90 some percent of nonprofit organizations have in one way, shape, or form have used AI in their workplace, fewer than 20% of nonprofits are notifying recipients, say if they've used AI to help draft an email or create some graphic, those types of things. Fewer than 20% are being transparent with the end recipient that they've been using AI. So that's something to be thoughtful of and think of. Our recommendation certainly is to be transparent as possible. People today are more and more used to receiving messaging communications that have been developed in part through the use of AI. And then the final issue here is legal. And this is a tough one because it's kind of all over the place. The federal government has tried to implement some AI policies or regulations. Uh, that is being battled by industry. And so, from the lack of uh, action on the federal level, many states have started implementing AI policies and regulations. I think something last time I looked, something like 35 states have already implemented AI guidelines and regulations in their state. So certainly at your workplace, if you're looking at implementing AI in your nonprofit organization, you want to make sure that you are abreast of whatever laws or regulations might be in place regarding the use of AI. All right, so while there are certainly concerns about AI, and this is just the tip of the iceberg, there's many other concerns like data centers and how much energy they're using in water and those types of things I'm not going to get into here. But while there are a lot of concerns, the reality is that this technology has already garnered incredible impact, not just in the workplace, but in our overall lives. The rate of adoption of these AI technologies is unlike anything I've ever seen before. And by the way, I've been doing this for a long time. I've been working with nonprofits and technology now for some 40 years. And I've seen three real technology pivot points in that time. The first one was back in the mid to late 80s when personal computers came about, and that was really transformative for nonprofits because they were now able to manage information in their offices. You could buy a personal computer, you could buy some donor management software, and you could start running your donor database right there in the office. That was a big transformation. And then in the mid to late 90s was the internet revolution. And of course, that's transformed all of our lives as far as how we communicate, how we access information, those types of things. So that was very transformative. And then the third one is this one now, this AI revolution. And I think it's probably the most transformative of all, just because how quickly it's been adopted, how widespread its usage has become in a relatively short period of time. And I think we're just kind of on the forefront of what AI is really going to do for us as a society and how it's going to affect our work and the workplace. So it's here. It's not a fad. It's here to change. It's here to stay. So my feeling is the quicker people understand the technology, get trained on using it, the more benefit they're going to be able to see from it. So let's talk a little bit here about what is the current state of use of AI in organizations. And this is specific to for-profit organizations. Then we'll get into the nonprofit side. So the reality is here, over 80% of for-profit organizations have already integrated AI into core business functions. So this means that it's not just an ad hoc usage, that the organizations have strategically implemented AI, and this is a significant increase in the last couple of years. And almost half, probably over half now, report that AI is fully integrated into their company's core business strategies. So half of for-profit organizations in a little over 3 years' time have already implemented AI into their core business strategies. Incredible fast pace of adoption of this technology. And one of the things, of course, that we've seen with AI is just the incredible amounts of money that are being invested in AI. And looking at the big technology companies, of course, Microsoft, Google, Facebook, all of them have invested billions of dollars into both the development of AI, but also into building data centers, those types of things. The amount of money invested in AI far surpasses any other. The dot-com boom in the late 90s certainly was a time when there was millions of dollars being invested into that technology. Well, now we're talking about billions of dollars being invested into it. So why are these organizations, why are these businesses, why have they invested so heavily into AI? Why have they implemented this? Well, because they're seeing real results from the use of it. We're seeing certainly big increases in productivity in organizations that have implemented AI technology. So in this one report, up to 80% improvement in staff productivity, especially when we're using AI to do some repetitive tasks. In addition to increased productivity, we're also seeing cost reductions through the implementation of AI as well. So it's kind of like a double benefit here for these for-profit companies. In addition to those things, we're also seeing the use of AI to improve decision making because this technology is designed to sift through data, find patterns and correlations. It's able to do it much faster than humans can possibly do it, and so they're able to have better results from their decisions based on the information that they're gathering from the use of AI to look through data and to do predictive analytics. And then another area where these organizations are seeing big improvement is in customer service. Uh, because these AI bots have been trained to uh, quickly, more accurately respond to customer inquiries, those types of things. Uh, Companies that have implemented this around customer service area are seeing significant increases in customer satisfaction through the use of AI. So just, I mean, four areas here where companies are already seeing significant benefit from the use of AI. So let's move from the for-profit sector into the nonprofit sector, where we all work here, and talk about that. And one of the interesting things about AI technology is in the past, when new technology has come out, it's pretty common that nonprofit organizations lag behind for-profit organizations as far as the use of that technology. Well, one of the things that we've seen here with nonprofit sector is that staff, individuals in nonprofits have been very quick to adopt this technology. In fact, over 90% of organizations are looking at implementing or implemented solutions to enhance efficiency in their organization. So, that's a very high percentage of organizations. Now, I will say that most of that usage that's happening is happening on an ad hoc basis, where individuals are doing it. It isn't an organization-wide implementation. Of those organizations that have started using this, they're starting to see some significant improvements in efficiency. So it's working. It's working similar to what we're seeing in the for-profit organizations. And like in the for-profit sector, where there's huge amounts of money being invested in this technology, we're starting to see that in the nonprofit sector as well, where foundations, and this one specifically talks about the Gates Foundation, but several other foundations have started to pledge a lot of money to help nonprofit organizations understand AI technology and implement AI technology into their organizations. So this is an opportunity for your organization, if you're looking to do some implementation of AI. There certainly is some funding out there that you can look at to help you do that. So some other um, statistics out there, and most of this data has only happened in the last year or so because it's taken a while to get some good information in the sector, on the nonprofit sector, about the use of AI. But while 92% of the organizations are or are interested in employing AI, only 9% feel like they're ready, and only 4% have AI specific training and development budgets. So while there's a lot of interest, there is kind of a lack of preparedness and a lack of strategy around implementing this AI. And while 75% believe that AI has the potential to really be transformative in their marketing or branding efforts, fewer than a quarter have real ideas on how that's going to happen. So there's this disconnect out there between sort of the hope that AI can be successful in helping nonprofit organizations build capacity. There's a lack of understanding and experience on how to do that. In fact, 82% of nonprofits are using AI informally or ad hoc, rather than as part of a formal strategy. So we're going to talk about this because this is an area where nonprofits really need to sort of step up and take hold of this technology in a more strategic way. Just a couple other things. Areas now, we're starting to see some real positive results of the use of AI around fundraising strategies that in this one study here, uh, some nonprofit organizations observed an average increase of 145% in donations per campaign using AI to help develop those campaign strategies. And again, only 24% of nonprofits have a formal AI strategy in place, and only 7% have successfully adopted AI to address operations and mission delivery challenges. So again, we're looking at this disconnect. So how do you, as an organization, given the incredible potential that AI is to help your organization be more effective, more efficient, build capacity, increase revenue, how do you start to do this? And one of the real challenges about this technology is it's so omnipresent. There's so many areas where you could, as an organization, implement this technology to help your organization. So in order to focus on that, the first step to implementing any kind of strategy is, why do you want to implement? Why do you want to use AI? Looking at your organization, what areas could AI be the most effective in helping your organization build capacity? And these are some of the areas to think about when you're answering this why question. Is it you want to be more productive? Honestly, in 40 plus years, I worked with nonprofits. I've never worked with or for a nonprofit that has excess capacity where the staff are just kind of sitting around wondering what to do. So anything that you could do to help increase productivity, to help increase efficiency in your organization is certainly going to be beneficial to helping you be more successful in accomplishing your mission. Do you maybe you really need to look at cost reduction as a primary focus of what you're doing? Perhaps you are an organization like many that we work with that have a lot of data about who your stakeholders are, about who your donors are, your volunteers, other stakeholders with your organization. You have lots of this data, but you don't maybe understand what all this information is telling you. Well, you can certainly use AI to help you better understand that information and help you make better decisions moving forward. Of course, any market that we're in, nonprofits are in a competitive market as well. There's only so many donor dollars out there. There's only so many foundation dollars out there. So maybe you're looking for a way to, sort of step ahead of the curve here and be a little more competitive in accessing some of the resources that are out there. Perhaps you want to just improve stakeholder engagement or, grow revenue or just generally grow organizational capacity. So step one in your journey to building a strategy around the implementation of AI is to answer this why question. Why do you want to implement it? Because that's going to guide you through the rest of this. So once you answer that why question, then the next step is to develop a plan. And when I talk to people about this, I kind of, their eyes start to glass over because, oh no, here we go. We have to do another plan. Um, and the reality is here is this technology has so much potential that the better you develop a plan, the better you're going to be at implementing and using this technology. So yeah, we really advise our clients and organizations to build a plan around the use of AI. And one of the things about this is, if recall back in a previous slide, that the lack of experience and understanding within organizations about AI, one of the things to really think about is to find external resources, external people that you can bring into this process. Maybe they're on your board, maybe they're a volunteer, but find people that are experts in this technology and bring them in to help you develop the strategy around this. So build a team, build a strategy team to this, and then spend time looking at the tools that are out there, especially ones that are focused on your answer to the why question. Are you looking for improved decision making? Are you looking to improve efficiency? That's going to help narrow your focus down and looking at the different tools that are out there. And as someone who's been sort of enmeshed in this AI world for the last 3.5+ years, I can tell you that there is no shortage of tools out there. There are thousands of them. And so deciding what tools to use is going to be an important part of this process. Establish a budget, of course. One of the nice things about AI is it's a relatively inexpensive technology to use. But the more you use it, the more it costs. And so it's a usage-based type of system. So you definitely want to make sure that you have a budget put in place to effectively implement your strategy. Then as you've gathered all this information, put your budget together, you can develop your plan. Of course, in any plan, you're going to want to include measurable goals. So, for instance, if your goal is to increase efficiency, you're going to need to figure out a way, how do you measure that efficiency? How are you going to track that? How are you going to see if what you're trying to accomplish is actually being successful? And then, of course, as with any organizational plan, there's the process of implement, measure, and then review. And it's going to take constant review with this technology. One of the reasons for it is this technology is evolving so quickly. So what you implement today may be out of date 6 months, a year from now. So it's just one of those things where you're going to have to continually be on top of this to effectively use this technology. So let's talk a little bit here about some tools that are out there that might jumpstart you to implementing this strategy to help you sort of get. So if, for instance, your answer to your why question is enhanced productivity, probably the first place to look are these generative AI bots that are very popular out there. And it looks like most all of you have already used some of these, so you have familiarity with them. If you haven't tried these different bots, I really recommend that you try using multiple of these. You're going to have a different experience, for instance, with ChatGPT than you are with Gemini or with Claude, or even with Copilot. Even though Copilot and ChatGPT have similarities as far as the AI model that they're using, they're very different experiences. And so you want to spend some time with them to sort of figure out what ones seem to be the best at doing the types of things that you want it to do. So enhanced productivity, start with some of these chatbots. Now, probably the most common thing that people are using these tools for in organizations is help to draft communications or messaging, help to develop copy, create charts and graphs, those types of things. And all of these tools can help you do that as well. So spend some time working with them, try to figure out which seems to be the best for you and in your situation. If, for instance, your answer to the why question is improved decision making, well, again, those bots that we saw on the previous page can help you with that. They certainly have the capability. I will recommend that if you're going to try these and try them, I really recommend using at least the least costly paid version of these tools. Because you're going to have access better AI models. You're going to have more capabilities when you use the paid version of these tools. And one of the things that you can do with pretty much all of these tools now, let's say that you want some help to better understand your donor database. And you can export a file from your donor management system and upload it into any of these generative AI tools, and have it sift through that data and provide some insights, help you understand patterns that are happening that maybe your uh, donor management software isn't able to do or doesn't have the capacity to do. So, however, more and more CRMs now, donor management tools, have integrated AI in them. I mentioned we developed ours back in 2023, so we were one of the first nonprofit CRMs out there with an integrated AI tool. But more and more now, sort of the major donor management companies out there, certainly Salesforce has been at the forefront of AI, use of AI. So, you know, spend some time with your tools. Maybe there's something in there that you're not aware of. Also, sometimes companies charge extra for turning on AI within their tools, so that might be something for you to look at as well. In addition to those, there are a lot of standalone business intelligence tools out there that now have AI integrated into them. So you can certainly look at some of those standalone business tools to help you as well. So one tip here is really focus on what information you need from this analysis. What is it that you seem to be lacking as far as what your current technology is providing you, and then let that help sort of guide you as far as what tools you are going to look to implement for improved decision making. Now, if you're looking to improve revenue growth, and again, I don't think I've ever worked with a nonprofit that hasn't been looking to improve revenue. There are tools out there, more tools every day that are leveraging AI technology to help nonprofit organizations improve revenue, improve donation amounts, improve donation frequencies. Certainly, a lot of the donor research companies out there have implemented AI in their platforms to gain better insight, better analysis of your current state of donor database. Um, Donor management software, as I mentioned, most of those have now integrated some AI tools within there. Um, Many of the email providers or tools around using for donor communications have implemented AI either to help generate better copy for, let's say, email solicitations. Some now have implemented AI technology, for instance, on donation pages to help generate increased response rates and those types of things. Um, Another area, and this is a pretty easy one that I recommend all the time to nonprofit organizations, is get a chat bot on your website. Now, 10 years ago, when website bots kind of first came on and you had to sort of train them, those types of things, honestly, they were barely functional. But these new AI-powered chatbots on websites are very effective. They train on all aspects of your website, so they become quickly very knowledgeable about your organization. And one of the nice things is they're there 24/7. So somebody coming to your website has a question about your organization, question about how to make a donation, question about your services. The chatbot is there to answer those questions, and they really are effective. There's more and more data coming out that the use of these AI powered chatbots on websites are really increasing customer service responses, increasing engagement on your website. So I think that's a real easy one, a real clear one for any nonprofit organization to look at. And there are some free ones out there, but there are also some, I mean, they're really inexpensive to throw up on your website. So quick tip for you to take a look at that. And as I mentioned, some of these vendors out there do charge extra for using their AI features, so just be aware of that when you're out there looking at some of these tools. All right, so I've run through a lot of stuff here, and just some final thoughts here, and we'll have a little time for some questions as well. Um, First off, AI can help your organization. There's no doubt about that. It can help your organization today. You can start using it for increased efficiency, increased engagement, stakeholder engagement. And the reality is these tools are organizations are using these tools already and they're having success with them. Um, so how do you start using it? Well, the first step is to answer that why question. Really important to get that focus because there's just so many things out there, so many ways that you can implement this. But answering that why question is going to really help you focus. And once you have that focus to that why question, that's going to lead into helping you build that plan and implement a plan to start using AI in your organization today. And of course, remember, in that plan, you want to have measurable ways to measure success as you implement this. Another thing is this technology is developing faster than any technology I've seen in my 40 plus years of working with technology and nonprofits. I mean, it used to be like Windows, right? I think Windows is on what, 11? And Windows has been around since the early 90s. Well, ChatGPT, for instance, their models, I mean, they're already on major version 5 in less than 3.5 years. And they're releasing new updates to their models, it seems like every week. So this is just a technology that once you start using it, understand that you're going to need to invest time in continuing to stay on top of the use of this technology because it is changing so quickly. My final thought here, and as somebody who's run a software company for quite a long time, I this one is kind of dear to my heart, but just remember that AI, like any software, is built by humans. It's not perfect. It's going to have errors. You're going to run into errors. I do another webinar. I think I might be doing one next week or something about writing prompts, which is really kind of the key to effectively using some of these, especially the chat bots, is knowing, understanding how to write good prompts because sometimes the way you interact with it is going to cause the error. So it's not necessarily the bot itself that's at fault, but it's you trying to ask the bot what it is you're looking for. So understand errors are going to occur. When this technology first came out, there was lots of discussion about hallucinations, and I can say that the amount of hallucinations or errors that I see is drastically reduced in 3.5 years' time that this technology has been out. So while it's been reduced, it's still an issue. Don't just take responses from these bots as gospel. Spend some time, confirm that what they're saying is correct before you use it. So with that, I will say thank you. Happy to answer any questions you might have if you want to throw them in the chat window. I also say there's my email address. If you have questions about this afterwards, send me an email. Happy to chat with you about this. I've spent a lot of time with this technology and feel like I have a good handle on how it can best benefit nonprofit organizations. Also, if you want to talk to us about what we do as far as a company, about our serum, those types of things, certainly send an email to me, go to our website, thedatabank.com, and we'd love to talk to you about that. There's a link in the chat to upcoming webinars that might be of interest to you as well. All right. I don't see any questions. Well, thank you very much, everyone. I hope you've got some benefit out of this, and good luck with your AI journey. It is really amazing technology. And the more the faster you start to understand it, the more benefit you're going to get from it. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.